What's going on, you guys? On topic request, fornication. I believe this. I'm not gonna say his name, but the individual he emailed me this morning, and he wants me to talk about fornication. I guess you want a general aspect about it, how I feel about it. Is it right or is it wrong? And I'm just gonna go from a spiritual and a biblical perspective on this on fornication. So we have to look at it like this. So fornication, pretty much, it's when an individual has sexual intercourse with someone they're not married to. That's pretty much what it is. And according to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18, it says, "Flee from sexual immorality. All other sins a person commits are outside the body. But whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." That's the thing, too. As I guess from the male point of view, if you're single and all that stuff, and you have opportunity to you want to be promiscuous, and you have those urges, those sexual urges, this is the way how the Lord kind of made us in a way to be attracted to the opposite sex, and to be fruitful and multiply. But that was really intent for us to be married to a significant other, have a spouse. And don't get me wrong, he wants us to replenish, but at the same time, sex is a very spiritual thing. And I just feel like if you're going around here just having sex with random people, you having soul ties and spiritual ties to that individual. And sometimes, for the most part, you could have tie into their emotions. You may be feeling sad one day, you might take on just little different things like, spiritually, that might be happening to you due to dream attacks. It can really affect your mood in a way, and pretty much I feel it's a huge distraction of what God has wanted you to do on this earth. And you don't want you want to have your body pure, because free from diseases and all those things. And most importantly too, if you accidentally get someone pregnant, and you're really not ready, mentally or spiritually, to take care of a family, then it's going to be very difficult for the Lord to come in and to establish that foundation for you guys to be blessed while you're going through your marriage, or you're going through some type of relationship. And this is why, Satan really attacks us. You go through, the entertainment industry, and you see sex all the time. They encourage it to go in here, just spread your seed everywhere. And also too, I'm gonna back this up with Proverbs chapter 5. But when you fornicate, you really have to realize is that it's gonna start catching up with you. I mean, I feel like it's a wound that people are trying to cover up. And sex is gonna be an addiction. It's gonna be a bad addiction, because if you're not pleasing that to your wife, then what's the point of you committing the sexual intercourse with individuals? And you gotta understand too, the people that you have sex with, they probably have sex with other people as well. And you may be susceptible to diseases, and like I said, your health can deteriorate on the medical level. But you got syphilis and HIV, all kinds of stuff, man. But at the same time, you have to destroy the flesh. And the flesh, what Apostle Paul states, is that it can really give birth to sin. And you want to transform your mind. Don't be condemned to the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, when that may be that good and acceptable in the perfect will of God, according to Romans 12. I want to read Proverbs 5, what King Solomon was stating, because this is extremely important, man. And as a lot of brothers, we kind of fall for just just a woman's beauty, and you want to lay up on them, and have all this sex. But at the same time, you got to think of yourself. You spreading your seed into this person. When you plant your seed inside a woman, that's technically it's not scriptural, but you're soul tied to them. You're not really married to them, but it do feel like you're very attached to that individual. Because say if it doesn't work out, and then you try to go on to the next woman, then the next woman, and you just pretty much, next you're just going around just pleasing your flesh. And that's gonna make you more very hypocritical as a lukewarm Christian. You're trying to if you're trying to change your life around and you're doing all these things, then what's the point? But in Proverbs chapter 5, it says, warning against adultery. And you have to understand, adultery can create lust, and lust is pretty much you are dressing a woman in your mind. and you just want to get in bed with her. Remember in Matthew 5, when Jesus Christ was preaching the Sermon on the Mount, when he stated that, even if you lust at a woman, you commit adultery in his own heart. You breaking one of the commandments. And warning against adultery, he said, my son, pay attention to my wisdom. Turn your ear to my words of insight, that you may maintain discretion, and your lips may preserve knowledge. For the lips of the adulterous woman drips honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. That's deep. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. It can potentially ruin your life, financially. Brothers, man, get baby mothers and everything, and their finances are hit. Paying $600, $700, $800 of child support. The gentleman, he had a check, and he received this check. He only had like $50 deposited because, the woman took almost nearly all of it. And now he's looking for another job. And why put yourself into that, that stressful situation? The world is already crazy. We're already battling spiritually. But if you adding to that, you adding to, your sex addiction, can't talk today, addiction, then, it's going to make it worse. And Satan is going to really pry onto your weakness. And he can't force you, but he could tempt you. He knows what you like and what you're going to come across. Instead, if you get to know the person, for the most part, you lay in bed with that individual. You have sex with the individual. That individual can sit up here, even if you don't get her pregnant, you guys just not together anymore. She can sit up here and say, oh, well, he raped me. And I know it's crazy. And a lot of brothers go to the slammer because of that, man. Because you got a lot of law enforcement don't really do too much investigation like that. And I think they should. The Justice Department should really do a more thorough investigation on different things like that instead of just going by word of mouth. But at the same time, man, you got to really set yourself up for success. And chasing the vagina, man, it's not a good thing, man. I mean, Adam didn't really do that. God actually created a woman for him because he was in his work. He was a spiritual dwelling place with the Lord in the Garden of Eden, naming the animals, cultivating the garden. And God seemed like, hey, this is not good, but he needs a woman. And put him in a deep sleep and came from his rib. And God blessed him with that. Before the snakes and the serpent just convinced Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge. But just to get to my point, if you really, have those urges, just to ask the Lord, man, just talk to him, pray to the Lord, just kind of eliminate it. And if he wants you to have a woman, or just pray, you have a wife, and then you can use urges on your wife, and you guys can continuously grow. And it's prayed that she will be a virtuous woman. But my thing is, for fornication, it's really not worth it for a lot of brothers to do that, because statistically speaking, you get a lot of brothers that they get caught up in these things, man. 2 or 3 different baby mothers, and always frustrated, working at a job that they hate. And now, they susceptible, a lot of them, to failure. Now, some of them became very successful, but it's just extra hard, man. And if you're not financially ready for all of that, man, because it's just hard just dealing with one woman. And I'm just saying, like, women, they get really emotional for the most part when you have to establish that spiritual connection laying in bed with them. You got to be careful, man. But, always protect your temple. God is honorable. He created sex so we can continuously, grow the population, okay? And go against the agenda they want to control this population for the powers that be. But that's here on there. But just be smart about it. You don't want to go and spew all your seeds with a different woman, man. Just keep going to the next. It's not good. It's not a great way to really raise a family, because at the end of the day, you accidentally get someone pregnant, then the child may feel neglected in a way, because the child, they said, they can really feel if they're wanted in the womb. And then if they feel like they're not wanted, then they're susceptible to generational curses like homosexuality. They're susceptible to, just anger, jealousy. I mean, just all these different curses that come from down in generations and generations. And, you can expel them if they're really knowledgeable about those things, but they're setting themselves up for, failure. And it's just better that you pray for your woman, you pray for a spouse, God have you guys meet, you collectively come together on a great spiritual agenda to glorify his kingdom, and you can procreate like that, and God can do the rest and bless, because the purpose of marriage is the contract and the vows, and for you and God, and that's just the icing of life. But if you're struggling with this, I don't know if you're struggling with fornication. You didn't say this in the email, but this is pretty much my spiel on this. Just make great decisions, man. You know, at the end of the day, do what God has set for you to do in your life. Write out your goals, pursue that, and a woman will come. Trust me, it will come, and you'll be very proud of yourself, and you will do it the most responsible way, which is pleasing your spouse when the Lord bless you with one. So just continue with your work, continue what the Lord has wanted you to do. If you struggle with fornication, anyone struggling with fornication, just kind of go back into those scriptures, man. Meditate on things, and you understand like what David had to go through with Bathsheba, right? You know, and he got Uriah killed, and God wasn't pleased with that, you know, and he embarrassed his kingdom, and pretty much it trickled on down to his son Solomon, who had like 1,000 wives, like 700 wives, 300 concubines. And look at that, man. You know, they built an altar. They were supposed to be an altar for the Lord, but it was really for his women. And God kind of cursed them on that, man. But this is really deep. So think before you do these things, man. But that's all I really have to say. Hope this helped. You guys continue to like, comment, subscribe. If you want me to do any type of topics, any videos, please email me free of charge. Just email me, and I get back with you. I'm out. Deuces.